So, what is business analysis? To understand this in very layman terms, business analysis is about understanding problems and user needs of the business, doing an in depth analysis of the problems and user needs that you have uncovered, and designing solutions for problems and user needs. And we would want to validate those solutions and problems before making recommendations to the business to take the way forward. So, what do you do in business analysis? We define the goal that we are trying to achieve by doing that analysis. And in any analysis, there are stakeholders and end users involved. We would like to understand the current processes that are being followed by the users and stakeholders, what systems they are using, what kind of data is being used. We use all of this information to do an in depth analysis. And then once we have understood the problem and need better, then we design solutions, validate them, and do recommendations. So let's understand this by a personal example. It's not a business example, but I'm taking a personal example over here to understand it better. So, say you are appearing for a competitive exam. So, the goal over here wouldn't be just appearing for the exam, but it would be to clear the competitive exam. And the stakeholders and end users over here would be the student, that is yourself, and the exam authority that is conducting the exam. The current process that is being followed is, say you're doing some self-study, you're studying on your own, and then you're focusing on your strength. For example, you may be really good at maths, so you're doing lots of maths to score better in that area. The systems that you may be using is you are referring to a lot of books for that competitive exam and some YouTube videos for that exam. So the data that you're referring to is books, your personal notes, some past exam papers, etc. Once we have gathered enough information about your current processes and systems and your goal, etc., we pick up that information and do requirements analysis where we do an in-depth analysis of it. And what we understand is that maybe the process being followed to clear the competitive exam is still inefficient. The process needs to be updated. You need to refer to more resources besides books and notes. And you also realize that you need to focus on your weak subjects as well, which could be reading and comprehension, mentioning it hypothetically. So we would understand these needs and problems thoroughly and define the to be future process. And what we understand is that you could benefit from taking coaching for exams where you would learn from experts. You could focus on reading and comprehension too, which is your weak subject. You could practice more with mock exams, etc. Next, we pick up these solutions and we want to prove that these are the right solutions by validating it with students who have succeeded in clearing these competitive exams. So you could validate which coaching center is best with the students and how it has benefited them, etc., and provide relevant recommendations to yourself. Taking the same approach, now we will look into a business example. Say in a bank there is an inefficient loan approval process, and you have been asked to simplify the loan approval process in the bank, which is going to be the goal of this analysis. The stakeholders and end users involved over here is the bank's loan approval team and the customers who apply for the role. You would like to do an in-depth analysis of what is the current loan application process, what are the steps they follow, how many kinds of approvals are needed, etc. The systems that the bank may be using is paper-based forms and online forms. And the data that you could refer to is what kind of customers are applying for the loan, what is the credit history, what is the customer bank account, how many customers are falling through the process, etc. After you gather all of this information in details, you can do the in-depth analysis of the information gathered. And what you understand is that the loan application process is inefficient because it is a very long-winded process. There are too many people approving the same thing. And you could design solution for it wherein you could define a simplified process. We're not going into depths of how you would define a simplified process, but say you know the problem area enough now to define a simplified process for approving loans, which has fewer approval steps. You would then validate it with your customers and loan approval team and then make relevant recommendations. So I hope by following these two examples, you have got a very high level understanding of what do we mean by business analysis. And times we are asked this question, what do business analysts do? I would like to provide this example to give them an overview of the variety of work that we do in analyzing business problems. Next up is user-centered design. So what do we mean by user-centered design? It is a methodology that focuses on understanding user needs, behaviors, and pain points to guide design decisions. It involves continuous user feedback and iteration to ensure solutions are intuitive, usable, and effective. By this, I mean is that we do not go and propose solutions straight away to problems, but we look into doing this in an iterative manner by onboarding user feedback and doing user testing, etc. More on user-centered design methodology is covered in our UCD methodology video.